What's up, MMA fans? Hey, thank you for coming over to this channel. I really appreciate it. And today I'm going to talk about the MMA gloves. They're a real problem, and the Chris Weidman fight really brought that out. I want to talk about Paulo Costa versus Jared Cannonier. Love this fight. It's awesome. And then I also want to know, why is Sean Strickland being froze out? Is it his, out of the cage antics? Are people worried about him? Is Disney involved? Yeah, I think so. But I'm getting into all that and more.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
Let's start with the gloves. So my first thought, as somebody who hasn't fought in the cage, I said, okay, well, the gloves look like, the UFC gloves are straight, whereas you look at Bellator gloves are curved. Pride started curving their gloves. A lot of these organizations realized, okay, that will limit eye pokes. The stats back it up. 1 in every 44 Bellator fights has an eye poke. 1 in 8 UFC bouts has an eye poke. PFL uses the same gloves as UFC. They have 1 in 10 or something like that. Don't quote me on those stats, but they're pretty close. But considerably less eye pokes with the Bellator gloves. Now, my question is, okay, how does that affect the fight? So I pulled a couple fighters, I'm not going to name them, and I said, hey, have you ever used the curved gloves versus the UFC gloves? All of them unanimously said curved gloves are so much better. I said, even for grappling, they said yes. And now I come from a motocross background, and you get this thing called arm pump, where your arms just become like rocks. The UFC gloves, while they're straight, when you make a fist, they cut off the circulation and cause arm pump. They almost encourage eye pokes. They have got to change this. And now I've heard rumors that they've been wanting to put like a chip in the glove to kind of like PFL does. PFL puts a chip in the glove that tells you how hard the punch is coming, some other data. But maybe, is that the holdup and why they won't change this glove? And I'm not even saying they have to use Trevor Whitman's design. Bellator's not using his design, but guess what? It works really, really good. And, it's not rocket science. I don't know what this deal is with the patent and Trevor Whitman and why it's like, untouchable. But just design a glove that curves. It's not rocket science. Just do it. Another interesting thing that came out in the last couple days is the legend, Mark the Hammer Coleman, fresh off of him charging into a burning house to save his parents, almost dying from smoke inhalation, is going to be at UFC 300, and I believe he's going to present the BMF belt, and that is perfect. So much better than the fake tough guy, The Rock. Mark Coleman's a real tough guy, and, he's a badass, but he is older. So can we expect Jake Paul to call him out next? Probably. So I had been wondering what was going on with Jared Cannonier. He's up there in the rankings. He's a guy that should be on the cusp. He's in that top 5 mix with, these guys that keep getting talked about. Chimaev, Whitaker, Duplessis, Adesanya, Strickland. But Cannonier always seems to get overlooked. Well, perfect fight for Cannonier. If he can get past Paulo Costa is a bad dude. That fight with him and Whitaker was nasty. So I really think if Cannonier can do something special against Costa, he gets right back in there. And if Costa can take out Cannonier, he's right back in the mix. But we're getting a bit of a logjam at the top of that 185-pound division. We need some new blood in there. We need Bo Nickel, Brendan Allen, Chris Curtis. We need one of these top guys to let them get in the mix. And this weekend, the winner of Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis should get in that mix. Now, I would like to say the winner takes on Sean Strickland, but I think he's kind of being froze out, guys. I think when he was the champion, ESPN, and we all know the organizations that run behind, that fund these events. I know Dana White doesn't feel this way, but he only has so much power. He's not the majority owner. He's a 10% owner, but he is the boss. But he still has to answer to these executives, and they despise Strickland. They were furious. Strickland even got the chance to fight Adesanya. And when he won, Dana took a lot of crap. So to get him another shot is going to be difficult. It's going to be really hard, and I don't know if they're going to do it. They really don't want somebody who speaks their mind like Sean Strickland to have the belt, which comes with a lot of power. They want a puppet. They want Adesanya. They want somebody they can control, and they know damn well they cannot control Sean Strickland. UFC 300 is a phenomenal card, except for the main event. That fight kind of sucks. Jamal Hill's coming in fat off a big injury. I really hope, I mean, with that said, he's still a badass and he has every bit of a chance to win. I really hope Pereira starches him. But there's other fights on that card that I actually really am interested in. I got 2 of them that I circled. I want to see Kayla Harrison. I just saw some sort of documentary on YouTube about her and the sexual abuse that she experienced from a coach and how she's overcome all that. I'm curious to see if she can make 135. If she can, I think she's absolutely a title threat or maybe even the best girl in that division. And I think she walks through Raquel Pennington if she can make that weight reasonably without dying. But that's what I'm going to be watching closely against Holly Holm. Holly Holm, she's game, but she's getting older. She's been through a lot of wars. At some point, that catches up to you. And if Kayla Harrison makes weight, I got to go with Kayla Harrison over Holly Holm. The other fight that I've circled on here that I really like is probably the first fight of the night. Renato Moicano versus Jaylen Turner. Yeah, the Triantula, Jaylen Turner. Jaylen Turner would be on an 8-fight win streak if the 2 split decisions against Gamrot and Dan Hooker, which I wholeheartedly scored for him, he'd be on an 8-fight win streak. He just starched Bobby Green. Jaylen Turner is title contention. He is a guy that can get up there. I would love to see him against, the top 3. I would love to see him against Gaethje, Poirier, Makhachev. I think he can hang. He is that good. And in a 5-round fight with his cardio, I really think Jaylen Turner he's a badass, man. And he's scary in that division with that height, that length, and that takedown defense. Jaylen Turner's a problem for a lot of guys. All right, guys, thank you so much for heading over to the MMA channel here. I'm going to keep putting out videos. Remember, subscribe, help me get this thing monetized. And I'm working on some different stuff. I'm trying to get the media pass into UFC and doing some other stuff. So I'm going to keep this thing cranking. And yeah, thanks, guys. Later.